Hi. Oh my gosh. This is the very thing that I have wanted to accomplish. This idea of tequila with Tiffany with family. What is tequila with Tiffany? So in this, I am going to cover a couple of things. And we're used to being in a private room on Zoom or StreamYard. So as I try to figure out how do we do this on YouTube, just stay with me and love us through it. Whether you're like, I think this thing is crooked, or you're like, I don't know if I have the right place. There's something really simple about today. First, I'm going to walk you through what does it mean to start over. For the person who feels like they've started over 100 times and they haven't gotten to the big thing, the middle thing, or the little thing yet, I got you. The second thing I'm going to say is why it is important to write it all down. The third thing we're going to talk about is this book that I just wrote called 52 Ways to Make Money Now. I'm going to walk you through a couple of the ideas and the ones that I feel were my safe haven, how I did it, what I did do, and what I didn't do. So let me just make sure, give me a second to make sure that this tech is right. And if you can, I'm going to just one message. I just want to know. I just sent a quick note. So I've got tequila. So the reason why I do things with tequila is actually because it's not really about tequila or whiskey or bourbon or rum. It's actually like sometimes you just need to know that you're in the right place. Sometimes when you're looking, you just need to know that you're in the right place. Perfect. Forever and a day when growing up, we drank in the Caribbean in terms of like in happy times, fun times, times with family, times with friends. It was always a place of joy. So I started doing tequila with Tiffany because many years ago I felt alone. You ever just felt alone? Let me just say this. It's okay to feel alone. The truth is that sometimes the journey is alone and you're alone and you don't know how to get out of it. I said to myself one day, is it really possible for me to take my story and go and find other people? The greatest gift I feel like that I've gotten is taking my story, taking myself, taking who I am and being willing to tell my story out loud, get other people to listen to me, and then find out that I'm not alone. And find out that I'm not alone and find out that other people are like me. It is the art of telling your story. Now, this journey and conversation is not going to be about telling a story, but it's going to be for me to explain why is it that in Tequila with Tiffany, there is a bottle. So I'm going to have my very first shot before we even get started. And I'm going to talk about this book that I just wrote. So cheers. Cheers to me. Cheers to me. And cheers to every person who has ever felt alone. Oh my gosh, Casamigos is something to talk about. So I remember once wondering to myself, like, what was I going to do? I had to realize, I had to own the fact that I was feeling so stupidly discombobulated walking into this office of this company that I ran. And there are times where you're in a profession, you're in a career, you've been working and doing this thing for a long time. I come from tech. Would you believe that? Would you believe that my background is actually in tech? Do I have other parts of my background? For sure. I have events. I have I have wedding dresses. I got tuxedos. Yes. I have those things, but tech is what carried me. Tech is where I made my first 6 figures. Tech is where I made my first 7 figures. And tech, I feel like, is what brought me to a place of being able to take care of myself. Now, every single day I was walking into this office. I had this beautiful corner office in North Carolina. I had moved there from Florida, and I had yet to come out loud and say that I was absolutely sick to my stomach with the fact that I not hated where I worked, but I wasn't excited about going to work. Every day that I didn't acknowledge the fact that I wasn't excited was like every day that I became more and more discouraged. If you've ever felt discouraged walking into a place that you know that you have to go and work, that you know that you've got to go and perform, that you've got to be the A player, that you've got to do the thing, all I'm going to ask you to do is just let me know, and I will come back to this and reply. I just want to know that I'm not alone. It's like I felt like forever I was in this crazy place of trying to figure it out, and not only did I not have the right formula, but my first mistake was just not saying it out loud, like not being honest with myself. So someone asks you, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And then you say, oh, I'm good. You readjust yourself in your chair and you're like, I'm good. I'm great. I'm working on the fam. I'm getting things together. I'm working out every day. I was dying inside. I was dying inside in a miserable way. And I was dying inside in a way that I was afraid to even tell my spouse. Like, I tried to mention it a few times, but I had learned or been conditioned, or in my culture, or maybe just being a Black woman, you're really like, the win is to keep it all quiet. The win is to not let people know how bad it is. The win is to not talk about what's paining you. I needed to start talking about what was paining me and not be afraid of the fact that, like, I needed to not be afraid of the fact that I was unhappy or sad or angry. In order to make a change, you got to know where you are. But the toughest part about making a change, and before I even get to 52 ways in which we can make money, I want to be transparent and say, before you can even make a change, you have to know where you are and know what you got to change to. Because I had never seen anything like what I know I needed to change to. What I knew was that I was surrounded by a lot of unhappy people who were successful in their jobs, who drove a fancy car, but nobody was really like happy. This idea that I had at that moment took me back to the basics, like when I was unhappy before. And that's when I was in this marriage where I really had no way out. Not because I wasn't happy in the marriage, but we were being abused. It was really tough. My way out was beginning my hustle. There's this crazy idea that we're supposed to just wake up, know that we need to build a business or grow our business. And I wanted to take this version of this time together in Tequila with Tiffany to tell you this, that I believe that everybody should build the business second and stack cash first. Every time that I've had like my head against a wall and I'm like, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? All I'm thinking to myself is I got to stack cash first. And it's not because I need to just make sales. It's actually my head can't take all of what entails for me doing all those other things. Putting yourself in a dungeon where you got to figure out all of the things that are going to happen and how to keep your head mentally in the game. And I'm in the state, like, you find yourself in a state of overwhelm. You find yourself in a state of, I'm lost. You find yourself in a state of, I just don't know what to do. And I'm tired of being alone and trying to figure out how to do it. That was me. So what stacking the cash allowed me to do is it allowed me to do a rinse and repeat thing that was kind of mindless. If I were you right now, if you're in a place where things are all over the place and you're feeling like, well, sweet Jesus, what do I do? The fastest, most easiest, most delicious way ever is for you to figure out how to stack cash first and do something that's rinse and repeat. That is exactly why I like ideas like consulting. I like consulting or providing strategy for people, because you can do that routinely and not think twice about it. What I don't like the idea of is building a program or building an event, building a retreat. Those things take time, money, logistics. They take, mental stamina to be able to continue month after month after month after month. I really like the idea of making money in quick ways, and not because they're fast, but they're quick for your mind. If you want to win for the rest of this year, let me just tell you what the theme of this season is, or this moment is from me to you. It's really freeing your mind. Isn't that like free your mind and the rest will fall? Here it is. I'm here singing. That lets me know that it's time for another shot. So if I can free my mind, right? If I can free my mind, the rest will follow. So 52 ways of how to stack cash or make money now came from this place. I Oh, you know what? I should have shared this. Let me do something. I don't think you can put pictures here in the chat. No, I don't think you can put pictures here in the chat. You can't drink tequila with Coke or Sprite. I don't think that's allowed. Right? Be honest with yourself. No, be honest. You can't drink tequila with Coke or Sprite. I think that I would lose friends. Like I have a reputation. I don't think you can do that. So we're going to do this. But I appreciate the heart, the feeling of it. I'm going to, I need the link to this thing. I'm going to find it. So not freeing your mind is like the best thing that you can do as you're trying to get to the next level, especially if you're the CEO running the company, if you have a bunch of people looking at you right now. And if you're like, Tiffany, I am not the CEO of a big company. You may not have a bunch of people looking at you, but you might have your family looking at you. The absolute most smartest, most delicious thing that you could do today would be this. It would be to focus on just stacking cash in a way that's rinse and repeat. I want you to do it in a way that's rinse and repeat. Because the rinse and repeat method will allow you the confidence to say, okay, I may not have all the answers, but I can do this. Like, ask yourself a question real quickly. Like, what can you do that would be rinse and repeat, that you could do all the time, no matter the season that you're in, no matter the time or temperature? And how could you, what could you do? Let's see if it populates. Yes, this is working. Okay. So let me put, this is Tequila with Tiffany. I know I'm doing this. This is happening. I started consulting. So there was a point where I really and truly, I just couldn't anymore. The pressure of how I felt inside was building up as a CEO. I had 15 employees and I did not use, how do I say this? I really cared for those people, but I hadn't mastered yet what it meant to build a brand. I also hadn't mastered myself. Like, I was still hiding behind my story. You could totally be the leader of something big and bad, and you are hiding in plain sight. I was hiding ridiculously. So every time I would go to the office and they would be like, oh, Tiffany, what school did you go to? All of a sudden I'd find a way to be like, oh, my phone's ringing in the office. I would just walk out. It was something that I had to be real, that I was embarrassed. I was hiding from these people. I really didn't understand what it meant to connect, because I didn't even know what it meant to connect as a friend. No one tells you how to be a friend. No one teaches you how to be a great employer. No one teaches you how to be a great mom. Yeah, you might see a great example, but just because you see a great example doesn't mean that you've been taught. So then you've seen a great example, you have something in your head that you're constantly trying to measure up to, but you haven't actually been taught. Seeing something and being taught is two totally different things. Not enough people talk about it. Not enough women talk about it. So I was drowning in myself because of the fact that I actually did not have a framework to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. All I knew is that I was sitting inside of this office with my door closed, and my head was spinning, thinking, what am I going to do? I swear that I knew I needed to help people differently. I knew I needed to help people. I knew I needed to build a business with an impact. It was not inside of the business I was running. It was not with the people that I had connected to. You know why? Because none of that stuff, I used my story. I think sometimes people think I'm joking when I say that your story is the best, most delicious, closest, most awesomest way that you could use, do, deliver right now to build whatever it is that you want. And I don't say that because it's a good thing. I say that really and truly because it's if we can build the things and people around us that we actually want, it's easy for us to be vulnerable all the time. It's easy for us to be open about our feelings. I don't want to sound woo-woo, but about what we're feeling, what's going on, what didn't work. I had the world crumble underneath me in the month of July. I had the world crumble underneath me in the month of July because there's a lot of reasons. One, because I trusted people I trusted people, but I didn't trust myself. That's first. First is I didn't trust myself as much as I should have. Second, because there are things that I wasn't tracking and I should have been tracking more. And even though you're like, oh, but Tiffany, I don't need to track because that and that is on the other end. And that might be true. But the truth is that at the end of the day, everything that happened in the month of July is my fault. Even though there were other people involved, even though I could look at, data and reports or meetings, it's like, yeah, I could look at that stuff. But sometimes we are with other people who want to blame other things for the things that are happening instead of just looking at ourselves. So for example, man, I really wanted to start a garden, but it's so hot outside, I can't do it. I know this sounds simple. Stay with me. There's two things there. One, you chose to live in that place and you choose to continue to live in that place. So yes, the weather might be whatever it is, but why are you still making the choice? And every day that I wake up and go to sleep and come back and I'm still living in that place where I can't plant the stuff I want to plant or the things that my children desire to have planted, that's my fault. I know it sounds crazy, but that's the truth. If I have something blow up in my face and it's like, oh, we had a client in one of our companies and they're really unhappy because we missed 6 steps. And it's like, I could be like, Mike, how come we missed 6 steps? But then I really have to look at myself and say, Tiffany, why aren't those 6 steps in place? As easy as it is for me to look at the other person, and yes, there is a trust factor, and yes, you have people around you who are building, and you're like, okay, these people are building with me, they're doing with me, so I'm going to trust them, and they need to do what they're doing, and I'm going to do what I'm doing. The reality of the situation is that everything is your fault. The faster we take ownership for what's happening, the faster you can get to the win. Me taking ownership in the last 2 years has been hard because I've been so sick. So sometimes you have a life card that's in front of you and all the things are falling apart and you're like, well, sweet Jesus, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? All these things are falling apart. You talk about a person who was like drowning. I get out from having surgery, then I can't walk, then I can't talk for 6 months. Then I find out all types of people have created all types of things. Then in month 7, someone sabotages me and they delete our entire website, all of our e-commerce, all of our years and years and years of landing pages and night school and events. They were upset and felt that they wanted to take a stab at me. And of course, they could have gotten me in a small way. Like they could have talked, some shit about me. They could have just done something wrong and hurt me. But they knew that by setting me back in business on top of the journey that I had been in, that I would be double pain because I would wake up and go, great, I'm going to go build. But if they remove all the tools that I have at that moment to go and build, then they win because I'm going to be taking 10 steps back. And like what did happen for a split moment, I became discouraged. I was so angry. I was angry with myself. I was angry with myself. I was angry with people. I was just angry. I was angry because I didn't have an answer and I didn't know what to do next. I just want to say it's okay to not know what to do next. It's not okay to stay in a place of not having the answers. So I'm going to give you really quickly, like this framework. Let me take another, this is for me. So cheers to me. And if you're drinking something today, or if you were drinking something, can you do me a favor and post the picture? I want to see what you're drinking. And even if you're like, Tiffany, I am not drinking tequila because I only drink chamomile tea with brown sugar and agave. Great. Share it with me. I want to see this thing. I'm going to judge you on the type of chamomile tea you got, but I still want to see this thing. So there's kind of like, when it comes to making money and fixing whatever's not working around you, let me tell you the framework and the formula that you can implement right now immediately. Number 1, you got to start communicating. So whoever it is around you, you need to call a meeting immediately. If it's your friends and family who's supporting you or they're not supporting you, you need to call a meeting. If you have a team, you need to call your team and have like a come to Jesus meeting. The come to Jesus meeting is not for you to go, here's all the things that you've been doing wrong. Here's how you've been making me mad. That is not what you need. That is not what they need. What you need to do is you need to say, hey, this shit is not working and I need help. I promise you, asking for help is the hardest part, especially for me as a CEO. In this last year, I've needed so much help. Like, I needed help to pee in the last 2 years, in the last 18 months. For me, asking for help feels like, I don't want to do it. But as I give you the framework for how do you build fast and what's at the other end, during these 18 months, I built a $500,000 company from scratch. And did I learn things? Have things gone wrong? Yes, yes, and yes. Do I have things that I got to fix? Yes, yes, and yes. Are there things that you're like, oh, well, maybe we could do better? Yes, yes, and yes. But in the midst of everything I had built with Do the Damn Thing, Tiffany Largie, the story agency, and everything I already had, when I made a decision after being sick to come back into the seat, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to challenge myself? Because I know me. I cannot just go back in and start working on something. That is not how I am. And I also knew that it wouldn't give me the confidence that I needed and the oomph that I needed in the belief of the people who were now around me and who I believe that God sent to me. So there's people who are around you, and then there's people that God has sent to you. I had a responsibility to not just walk in and say, okay, great, well, I'm going to do a little bit of something and see if it works out. I actually needed to prove to them that I was willing to work just as hard as I'm asking them to work to join me, because I really, truly know that we've got to get to Wembley. In addition to that, I also have it already accepted before I got sick, the mission that I'm on. Like, I already accepted the mission, so I'm not going to try and back out of this thing. I just need to keep the course. Keeping the course is the hardest part, because you're like, I don't even think I have what it takes to keep the course. I think I'm done. I think I'm tired. When I made a decision, it was like November, right after Thanksgiving, because I remember walking into the studio. I did a video on my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, and my hair is disheveled. I've eaten way too much at Thanksgiving, and I walk in here the next morning. It's Friday morning, and I walk into the studio because I'm like, I'm going to go back and sit in the seat finally. And I don't know how, but I know that the very first part of it is telling my story and communicating. Communicating is key. So 1, I said, call a meeting. 2, do something public. Okay. I'm going to get into some serious things, and you can write down this framework and use this and take it to the bank, because no matter what, no one can take away the fact that I went from zero in a brand new space, a brand new company that I know little about. And I built an entire process, not by myself, but with a team. And in addition to that, we got to $500,000 a year simply by me putting in exactly what I'm going to teach you right now. Now, the second thing that I did, so after I pulled everybody together and I was like, listen, I need your help. There are some people who were like, sure, Tiffany, I will help you. And then they didn't show up. There were other people who were like, sure, Tiffany. And they kind of did this. I just made a decision and took a machete to them and cut them off and be done. The third thing that I'm going to say to you that's really actually important is that I then made a decision to map out, like, for myself, what do I need help in? So I knew that I needed to turn to our list and our community and just start to teach and talk. For a long time, I had taught and teached and talked through a tool. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not really going to talk too much about tools, but tools are really important. Tools are important for 100 reasons, but I decided to drop the tool that we had been using for years, and I decided to pick up a new tool, because sometimes you just need a new tool. Like, you need a new tool to communicate. I couldn't rely on the tools that I had that I felt were limited. I picked up a new tool. And if you ask me, wherever you are watching this, what's the new tool, I will share and show you. And I started talking to our list. Recently, I decided that I was going to move away from just sending emails to a list to now, for at least Do the Damn Thing for that company, we're actually going to be moving to newsletters. Newsletters, I believe, are probably the most overlooked, easiest way for you to gather your thoughts in one place, your emotions in one place, the things you're doing, your knowledge and expertise in one place, and to get people to take action. Whether it's buying from you, joining you, signing up, registering. And if you're like, Tiffany, I absolutely want to know how you guys are writing, doing, or producing newsletters. I'm telling you, like, I wish, this is one of those few things where I'm like, I wish I would have done this years ago. I knew about it years ago. I settled for what was easiest instead of taking 3 more steps and doing what could be delicious. And now I go, I get it. The next thing I'm going to say to you is that there's more than just the communication. So after the communication, you got to move into this. How am I going to make money? How am I going to make money? Money is two folds for two people. For men and for women, I'm going to tell you why you should stop whatever you're doing. If you are feeling lost and all over the place, yeah, you can go on a retreat. Yes, you can find yourself. But I'm going to tell you, chiseling the outer core of what was and refining it into what is and what will be is probably the best thing you could do. And you're going to do that through sales and marketing. Whether you're selling an idea or a concept or selling a new product or service, sales and marketing is the thing that has saved me time and time again. Now, what do I sell and what do I market? What you shouldn't sell is a low ticket item unless you have a volume way of marketing. If you take a low ticket item to a low volume arena, you're going to end up at the end of the month going, what the hell is happening? I am lost here. I am ... I am feeling that's not the way to win. Like, that's for sure not the way to win. You know what is the way to win? The way to win is to start, I know someone's going to hate me for this, but it's to not go build a funnel. It's to pick up the phone and go call people. Hey, how you doing? I want to know how you're doing, what's going on, and I want to know, can I help you do XYZ? Now, I made it sound simple, and there's a few more words to it, but at the beginning and end of this thing, like, what I know for sure, we are taught in this digital age that the way to connect with people is to send out 1 million emails and do 400 Facebook Lives. I don't believe that. I think that's a poor strategy, and I'm going to say no. The way to win is actually to pick up the phone and call people one-on-one, DM one-on-one, and LinkedIn, for that matter, one-on-one. When I say sell something, I don't mean sell a product or service. I really mean sell this concept. Can we talk? Filling up my calendar and beginning to just have conversations saved me. Having conversations with people, not really going, hey, what are you doing? I'd like to do what you're doing. No, you'd be surprised how easy it is for you to do something like this. So what most people don't know is that every single platform has, every single platform like LinkedIn. I'm going to open up LinkedIn real quick. They have something really cool. So I went to my LinkedIn platform, and they have something really cool. You can go to, I push the button, my network. Okay. So at the bottom, I push my network and it says manage my network. I went to my connections. Great. So Alan Berg is going to get a video from me right now. I'm going to show everybody this real quick because everybody can do this. I have done this time and time and time again, ridiculously, but it's like, getting off social media is one thing, but being strategic with it, if you're going to have it, is another. So I'm going to go to Alan right now. Alan Berg, if you ever see this, I'm really sorry that I'm using you as an example, but you were the first person on. I'm going to go to message. Alan sent me a bunch of blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go to his messages. On the left-hand side, there's like a paper clip. I'm going to press it. And it says, send document, take a photo, send a photo or video, take a video. I'm going to take a video. We're going to clean the camera because my makeup is all over it. This thing is not even looking cute. Let me see if I look good. Let me see how this works. Oh, come on, look at this. All right, you ready? So we're going to record a message for Alan. Hey, Alan, how you doing? I'm so glad that we're connected. I'd absolutely love to talk. I saw that you sent me something. I also saw that you do weddings in New Jersey. Wild. My first business where I made some real money was in weddings, and I never get to talk about it. Do you have any openings on your podcast coming up in the next couple of months? I think that you and I would have a lot of fun chatting. All right. So I'm still at work. I'm here in the studio, but I thought I would just send a quick video and say hi and see if we can talk live. All right. Bye. So there we have it. Okay. So I just created this video. It's going to go straight to Alan. There we go. There's the video. We're going to see what Alan has to say. I don't know what he has to say, but it's uploading right now and off and away it goes. So I'm showing this to you because one Saturday, 3 years ago, I was in my head about how to connect, what to do, what to say. And I decided to sit on my recliner on a Saturday with a glass of wine. It was really a bottle of wine, but it was wines multiplied, duplicated, multiplied. And I sat with the wines glasses and I did just that. I went to LinkedIn and went person by person by person. 300 people later, I connected with so many people and the responses I got were ridiculous. All these like foolishness, let me just send a message like, hey, John, how you doing? It's Tiffany. It's good. But you can't connect with people. I wanted to communicate and connect. Same way that I won't send an email to my team and just say, hey, such and such and such. I'm often going to say, hey, can we meet? Can we talk just for a couple minutes? Because it goes so much further faster. The next thing that I want to talk to you about, the next thing here that's really important for me is this idea around just making money. So what's the tool? Oh, yes, I'll absolutely tell you in a moment what the tool is. So Julie, I saw your note. Thank you, Mama Cakes. I saw your note. I'll put it inside of Discord, but I'll also include it here. I'm going to tell you that communication, so getting out of your head and communicating is what allowed me to create the foundation first. One, I called a meeting. Second, I reached out and set time with my team. Third, I did one-on-one reach outs. Period. That's it. The next thing is I decided, okay, great. What am I going to sell? We cannot sell. And I say, what am I going to sell? What am I going to position? What am I going to be about? You can either do low ticket or you can do high ticket. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care if you're like Tiffany. Well, I'm in the copier industry. This doesn't work. I used to leave my house with a piece of paper that had an order on it for $540,000 at least once a quarter. And at least once a month, I had an order sitting in front of me where I was selling a $150,000 piece of equipment. They're in a world where the average sale was about $5,000 to $10,000. Selling high ticket is a choice. Selling equipment, selling things that matter is a choice. Like you don't have to sell low ticket things. I don't care if you're like, well, Tiffany, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel credible. I don't think we're there yet. With a little bit of time, a little bit of experience, in the future, when the sun rises, when cows come home, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter. All of that is irrelevant. I feel like every person who owns the ability to sell something or be a part of selling something, because there's a win in both. Yes, I'm talking to the business owner, but I really want everyone to be clear that I made $100,000 a year by being a part of other people selling. It is not always about building a business. And I really need to take time to say that, because the idea that if I just build my own business, I'm going to have all the answers, or if I continue to build the business that I have, I left my wedding business and I made 6 figures there, but it was not tough, but I loved what I did and I made the money, but it emotionally was exhausting at times. And the only thing that wasn't exhausting is that I did a lot of inseams for groomsmen. That's probably the only thing that wasn't exhausting. You probably don't know this. I want you to hear this, visualize this. So I buy a business. This is a true story. I buy a business. I think I'm buying a business. I see a lady in a park. It's very hood. Let's try to see if I can sophisticate this. I see a woman who is at a community center and I'm at the park. The park is like adjacent. And I have Jada and Maya, they're playing on the playground. I see a lady who is with a clipboard walking in and out of this building. I walk over. I run a gift basket business at this time and I don't love it. I make maybe 40,000, maybe 30,000 for the year. And if that, it's probably 28,000 if I had to really go back. Long story short, as I say to her, hey, have you ever thought of selling your business? I'm in flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm definitely not at a level of even talking to anybody yet. But this is my very first time buying a business. She looks me up and down, thinks that I am a joke, but doesn't articulate it. She hands me her business card, tells me, okay, great. I'm busy right now. Clearly there's tables coming in, there's trucks outside. They're getting ready for an event. I had never seen an event. I've never been to a wedding at this time. I've barely been to like a baby shower, you know? And she gives me her business card and tells her I can call her in about a little over a week. This is a long time ago. You're talking about like 2000 and it's got to be like 2004, 2005. So this lady tells me this. I get the business card. I'm like stupid excited. I'm like, shit, I'm about to buy a business. I'm so excited. But I don't know anything. I got a gift basket business. I think I'm going to be running to the bank because she's at least acknowledged me. I go and research everything there is about her company. The internet and Google is not prevalent there, so you kind of have to do drive-bys, like some stalker stuff, and I did a little bit of stalker stuff. I did. Let me drink to the stalker stuff. Cheers to me. So I drive by her location a million times. And if you're watching this anywhere, can you just entertain me and let me know that you're watching this and say, hey, Tiffany, it's with your name. I don't care where you are. Hey, Tiffany, it's been a hard, long journey for me to make a decision to sit and do Tequila with Tiffany again. And you're doing it for me, my sanity, my sake, because I'm selfish and you're giving me a gift and letting me know that you're there. And I'm not talking to myself. So I finally get this woman on the phone like 2 weeks later. She basically tells me, well, I want $30,000 for the business. I tell her, sure, I heard that businesses were $200,000-$300,000. So when she won $30,000, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Little did I know that, or actually she wanted $25,000. I didn't have $25,000 cash. So I told her if she worked on this payment plan with me, I'd give her $30,000 for the business. Fast forward, we go to her lawyer. 2 weeks later, I don't tell a soul. I don't tell nobody that I'm doing this. I don't mention it to my mama. I don't tell my friends. I'm young. I think I have this all together. I have like $18 in the bank. She gets her lawyer. I show up at a lawyer place and I am knocking knees. Sign on the dotted line. I'm taking over the lease. I have just bought this business. I'm everything. So we're about I'm supposed to take over. I don't know the exact date, but let's say it's 2 weeks later and it's March 8th. March 8th, I roll through. It's Saturday morning. I'm rolling through this thing and I'm rolling through the streets of Pembroke Pines, Miramar and Miami, Florida, windows down, music rolling. I get to the spot. The signs are gone off of the front of this building. I'm losing my mind. And I'm like, where are the signs of this building? I park the car, run out, race inside. She's in there packing stuff. And I'm like, hi, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm packing the things. And she looks at me a little smug, but not rude. And I'm like, but I just bought the business. I don't understand. And she says to me, you bought the assets. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? She's like, you bought the assets. I feel her smirking, laughing a little bit, staring at me. And I'm young. I don't even know what that means. I know that something is wrong, but I don't know who to turn to. I don't know what to ask. And basically she says, I'm going to leave all the things that you need right here. What I find out is that this woman has packed up all of the things that are actually valuable. She takes them to her house. She opens up the business again out of her home and takes her name, her list, her phone numbers, her website, and everything else she has. And what I'm looking at is a bunch of trash inside of this place that I've leased. But one of the things is tuxedos that are old, antiquated, they're in the back and they're hanging, and I'm sick. I don't know what to do with this. I thought I bought an event planning company. There's a bunch of tuxedos, some wedding dresses, and a bunch of trash everywhere. I'm melting. You ever just been in a place where you're like, how could you do this to me? I had not cried so hard. Anyone else ever had a moment like this? Can you just put me too, Tiffany? I'm serious. I have to have a drink for that. I literally, like no bullshit. I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe I let this happen. She was smarter, older. She took advantage of me. I couldn't go crying to nobody because I didn't tell nobody. All I knew was I was going to get a bunch of I told you so. You ever had that? You ever had like a fat I told you so coming to you and you're like, I'm going to shut the fuck up. I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to say nothing to nobody. I'm going to be quiet. I cried. This woman, I watched her take every valuable item out of this building. She almost went as far as to waive the contract in front of me. I was sick in my stomach. I didn't have no lawyer. I didn't have no money. I couldn't even talk to nobody. I'm watching her take this shit, putting it in her car. I'm sick. I'm sick. I leave. I just leave. I decide I don't have the stomach for it. I come back on the day that I'm supposed to have this thing. I have the keys. They're waiting for me. And I'm looking at a bunch of trash. Maya is basically crawling on the ground. That's how little Maya is. And Jada's too running around. I am so discouraged. I'm so discouraged. I begin to ask myself, what am I going to do? And finally, I realize and understand, which is why I'm sharing this principle with you. Like right now, you just got to use what you got. So all of a sudden, I walked this place and I'm like, we got tuxedos back there, but these tuxedos are old. I don't know a thing about sewing. The hems were out, and finally I read in a book somewhere that you people sew something. And then there was a dry cleaning lady 5 doors down. I run over to her and I'm like, hi, my name is X. I just bought the thing. What do you do with the bottom of this stuff? This lady, she's like Chinese Jamaican and I'm Jamaican, but the Chinese Jamaicans sometimes are a little uppity. So she looked at me like, let me tell your ass what you're going to do. She's like, you have to sew them. And I was like, sew them, huh? It was a foreign concept to me. This woman, I said to her, I have $20. I'm going to give you $20. Can you just tell me what that means? Teach me how to do this. She basically told me that I needed to take a measuring tape, get guys to come inside, measure, and find out what their inseam was, outseams were, and then sew to the line of what I marked. I went back after crying and rolling on the ground and wanting to run through the streets. I decide that I'm going to go and begin this process of calling people who have businesses that are similar to mine, florist, limousine, wedding dresses, event locations, officiants, photographers, videographers. And basically I'm like, hi, I own this business. I made a whole name for this thing. And I own this business. If you have anybody who comes in your place and they need tuxedos or they need wedding planning, please, can you just refer them to me? I was so sad. After crying forever, I just got the yellow pages. It is no different than what I did last year. It is no different than what I would do today. Pick up the phone and talk to people. I called all day long and finally I felt like no one heard me. Right before I was about to leave the shop on my first day, the phone rang, my cell phone rang. I had a blue flip phone Sprint Motorola thing. And this phone call, because she took all the phones, phone opens and I'm like, hello. And the guy's like, hey, you called earlier. I had a couple who just left my location. I just told them about you and they said that they want to come in. And I'm like, and basically I make an appointment for Thursday. It's like Monday or Tuesday. I am pissing on myself with excitement and nervousness. I don't know a thing about wedding planning. I've never even seen a wedding, but on TV. So I am losing my shit. I head to Barnes and Nobles. I read the hell out of every magazine, the Knot, books, all of the above. The rest, I'm not even going to walk you through today. It's inside of my book. So if you've never gotten the Build the Damn Thing book, you should totally listen to this story because it'll tell you how do you go from nothing is working for me to everything is working for me. This is where I build my very first 6-figure business. It's my very first 6-figure business. I can tell you now that possibly some of the dollars we collected were in cash. I talk to you about these inseams because the joy is me learning that I could have deliciously looking men walk into my facility. This is the truth. They walked into my facility. And I learned how to get wedding groomsmen to come in, and I measured their inseam and I measured their outseam, and I made myself a seamstress. I suck at sewing, but I learned. I did. Can you see me doing this? Just visualize me. Literally, listen, you have no idea. It's still crazy. I wish there were cameras and cell phones back then, because all I knew was that if I looked hot, the guys would keep coming in. And so I know this is horrible. They weren't coming in with their brides. They were coming in with what? I had the shirts, I had tight jeans, I had high heels, and I had a measuring tape. I kept getting these guys to come in. You got to work with what you got. Get these guys to come in, measure the inseam. I charged $100 per suit, no matter what. Everything was included. And I promised them that they would have fun while they were there. I didn't do anything below the belt or anything illegal. We were a storefront. There was a glass in front, so I couldn't hide nothing. But the truth is that I made a decision to hunker down and use what I had. Every day for about 30 days, I cried. Every day for about 60 days, I felt less than. And eventually, after asking questions to other people around me, how do I do that? I kept asking questions. I started learning how to sew an inseam. I sewed the hems. I sewed the things, whatever you call this. I sewed them all. I would press these things myself because I couldn't afford to take them all to a dry cleaner beforehand. And I started running these things out, and I made over $100,000. Now, I am like, listen, don't play with inseams though. Don't mess up. Let me drink to the inseams. You know what? Let me drink to the inseams, because I don't think enough people talk about inseams in general, but I'm going to give them the respect they deserve. So I wish I could have told you that there's a formula for starting over, but there's not. The formula for starting over starts with asking questions. And if you are quiet behind a computer, you're going to lose. If you are willing to spend 30 days hunkering down and talking to people, that's your win. Talking to all the people. I got back inside of the saddle, the swing of things, rebuilt my community, whatever you want to call it, by talking. I talk so much in that business, even though I hate talking. Sometimes I am totally an introvert, and I knew though that I couldn't not give it my best effort. It wasn't even about like not failing. It was about me having to prove to myself, because the alternative was I was going to be embarrassed going and telling everybody the bullshit I had done. And I really hadn't even taken a big bat and swung at this thing. I was just like playing around, and I was like, well, I can't let the thing happen to me. I needed to turn it into happening for me. I'm forever grateful for this woman who took advantage of me. One day I think I'm going to go find her. You know, I should. And I hope someone finds her and sends this to her. I always say to myself, because that's like 20 years ago, I'm grateful for her taking advantage of me, because the businesswoman I am today, my ability, the skin that I have thickened and acquired, is what I need to weather all of the storms that have happened after. Reaching out to people, picking up the phone and calling, and focusing on a high ticket offer. A high ticket offer is delicious. I need you to put right now, high ticket offers are delicious. High ticket offers are delicious. I know that there's a chat. I don't know how this works. Can you do me a favor and like this video wherever you are? Can you like this video? Can you like it? You don't have to share it, just like it. And can you comment on the video, not the chat? I hope this works. I don't even know if that's possible. But if you could like this video, I would really, truly appreciate it. Okay, so next, you can't put too many irons in the fire. So I'm gonna end here. You can't put too many irons in the fire. I was talking to a client this morning. She's big deal client. She has a lot going on. And I said to her, you have too many pots on the stove. And you have a couple of pots with food in it on the counter waiting for a burner. There are only 4 burners. Why are you trying to cook so many things? And she was like, well, I figured if I just get all these things going, that eventually I'm going to get to, the thing that I want. And I'm like, you can't. That's not the way. I'm telling you from experience that something will catch fire and the house will smell of smoke. And then dinner sucks. if I could get you to entertain this idea, we're going to build a turkey. We're going to build a turkey. We're going to build a thing, but we're going to cook a turkey. The turkey takes time. You got to clean it. You got to brine it. You got to inject it. You got to do all these things over 2-3 days, put it in the fridge, take it out. And then eventually on Thanksgiving morning, you stick this thing in the oven and off and away it goes. Think of yourself walking into this. Like, if there's nothing else you take away from this, I'm going to say take away the idea that there's a turkey ahead. And I know this sounds crazy, but this turkey concept is actually the magic that you need. Like, build one big thing, cook one big thing. Don't mess around, get into the kitchen and just make mashed potatoes. Don't do that. That's not a waste of time. We can't feed people that on Thanksgiving. Take the time and go a turkey. Get the right turkey, bring all the seasonings, prepare to brine this thing, inject it, get the apples, all the carrots, all the rosemary, the secret sauce from grandma and whoever else you have, and do this thing right. What I know for sure is by me focusing on just one big thing and taking 7 hours a day and doing that, that's how I've produced the biggest wins, learned the lessons from getting it wrong faster in the last 12 months, and more importantly, how I've gotten to a place of doing this. That's it. So this Tequila with Tiffany is very formal. I have to see if this is the right method for us, if we're going to continue to do Tequila with Tiffany in the studio. But I will tell you this, I will see you next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So every day at 5 o'clock, I am going to answer questions, give you one concept, more importantly, telling you the tools that I'm using right now that are helping me to win or do something faster, and giving you the backdoor thoughts that I have on how I'm building to Wembley. Because now, as of last month, I am officially putting the world on notice. We are building to Wembley. And as much as I don't know how, I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to share with you all of the things I'm doing as they're happening every single week so that we can both win. Because I want to see you there. This has been amazing. I'll see you soon. Ask the questions. Bye.